Hello, this is George Hutton, and you are listening to the Mind Persuasion Podcast. Today we continue our study of weaponized hypnosis. For more information, please visit mindpersuasion.com/weaponized-hypnosis. In today's podcast, we'll be talking about something called dominance games. Here we'll go over some common ways that we humans try and exert our dominance over other humans. This sounds a bit melodramatic. Exerting dominance is something that silverback gorillas do while screaming and beating their chests, right? It's also what chickens do. The idea of the pecking order is from watching groups of chickens at feeding time. They all eat in a certain order. The high-status chickens eat first and on down the line. When a new chicken is introduced, they rearrange themselves. On one hand, this sounds brutal and primitive, but remember, we are all biological organisms. As individuals, we must maximize what we get while minimizing what it takes to get it. As social animals, we must arrange ourselves in a system that maximizes our collective efficiency. If we spent half our time fighting for dominance, we'd waste a lot of energy. This makes sense when we see chickens. This makes sense when we think about ancient hunter-gatherers, but we live in societies where most everybody we deal with is not somebody we've known our entire lives. So, from our instinctive hierarchical perspective, we still haven't settled who is above whom in the social status ladder. When a new chicken is introduced into the group, it only takes a little bit of effort to reorganize the group. But we humans are flowing in and out of groups all the time. Just like our hunger instinct, our social status instinct is going crazy. Here are some ways we try to either exert or demonstrate dominance. Advice. Nobody likes unasked for advice. The reason is what is presupposed is the giving of the advice. If you are standing on the corner holding a map, it's clear you are lost. If a stranger walked up and offered help, the presupposition is that he knows the area and you do not. This is a very subtle way of demonstrating higher social status. They know the area and you don't. If you accept the advice, then you accept that they are more knowledgeable than you. In this situation, most of us would accept the advice. We would trade an acknowledgement of our lower social status in exchange for getting the answer to our location problem. Think of a time when you were trying to figure something out and somebody came out of nowhere and offered you unwanted advice. This is what it feels like when somebody tries to impose their believed higher social status on us. If we reject their offer and figure it out ourselves, we don't have to accept their attempt to demonstrate higher social status. Think of a time you offered unasked for advice to a stranger. Giving advice feels good. It feels good because you are asserting your social status as higher than theirs. You may have trouble accepting this. You may say, I wasn't showing off my social status. I was only helping. But what does help imply? It means that somebody needed your help. It means they were better off with you than without you. It means they were insufficient before you showed up to offer your help. It means that you saw what they were attempting to do and you decided they couldn't do it or they couldn't do it as well without you. This is very hard to accept for many people. We like to think of helping people as virtuous and selfless. Try out this mind experiment. Imagine two situations, one where you walk up, offer your help, and your help is accepted and appreciated, and it allows them to get the job done when before they couldn't. How does this feel? Now imagine the same situation. Your help is what they need. They do the job with your help, and they can't do the job without your help. Only your help arrives mysteriously and anonymously. Nobody knows you helped them except for you. From their perspective, they just got lucky. Maybe it comes across as a gust of wind that pushes just the right thing in the right place. Now how does it feel to help them? Now imagine another scenario. Imagine you help them mysteriously and anonymously, but somebody sees them receive mysterious and anonymous help. You know you created the help, but to them it seems like luck. A few people are watching, and they see the person get lucky, and they congratulate him or her on how lucky they are. One of them is even a talk show producer, and they are doing a case study on luck, and they want to hire him to tell their story on TV about getting lucky. Now, how do you feel about helping them? Asking questions. How we ask questions, how we answer questions asked to us are largely driven by how we see our relationship with the asker or answerer. Many of us ask a question and the other person doesn't answer us right away, and then we say, "Hey, I asked you a question," as if the act of just asking a question automatically puts us on a higher social status position. Otherwise, why would a question demand a response? Maybe it's impolite to be asked a question and not answer it, but maybe it's also impolite to ask an unexpected question in the first place. Questions are often a very subtle tactic to demonstrate social status authority, especially questions that are asked in front of other people. If you are asked a question in a group setting, it feels rude to completely ignore the question. This is precisely why they are clever tactics to demonstrate social authority. The subtle demonstration that the question asker hopes is that by answering, you are voluntarily submitting to their actions. Those who are in charge ask the questions, and those who are not answer the questions. This may seem trivial, and it may seem people that ask questions mean no harm. Just remember, this social status desire is very ancient and very subtle. Some people are very clever with how they can use questions asked in front of others to demonstrate their own superiority and our inferiority. Responding to statements. Let's say you're at a meeting. The boss asks for opinions. You offer yours, which is well thought out and one you believe will help the company. You can hear somebody sigh loudly while they cock their head and look at you questioningly. How do you feel? Chances are the person wouldn't do that unless they already had a good idea that they could put you down effectively in front of others. Perhaps you withhold your opinion for fear of just this occurrence. Even in one-on-one situations, how we respond to statements by others and how our statements are responded to by others is one of the many ways these social status games are played. Words are the icing on the cake. Once you tune yourself to these nonverbal and largely unconscious signals, an entire new world will open. When you step into an elevator, everybody sizes everybody up quickly and silently. Usually, when the words come, they come after all the nonverbal exchanges. Words are more of a result of the deeper energy than the cause of it. This gives us an incredible advantage. Most folks have no idea of these deeply unconscious and ever-present power play games that are always going on beneath the surface. They are very easy to see, and once you train yourself to see them, you'll see them everywhere. Most people feel their relational social status without really knowing it. They speak without really thinking, or at least not speaking very thoroughly. In most situations, people are unaware of the relationship between the intention behind their words and the ever-present social status games being played. This means they are very delicate. Their power rests on the unconscious interplay between various levels of social status. The game goes on without most people ever knowing it's happening. This means that once you learn some simple linguistic tools to carefully and covertly question what they're saying, their imaginary social status will collapse. Remember a couple episodes ago, all our ideas are based on incomplete mental maps of what's going on around us. That means that their own level of social status is equally based on those mental maps. So the trick will be to ask them very subtle questions that they won't be able to answer. This uncertainty will be felt as an uncertainty about their social status, which will make them suddenly question their standing. Right now, this might not make much sense, but once you try a few of these tools and you see how easily they can knock others off balance, it will begin to be clear. For now, continue with your observational exercises and practice seeing these power play games as often as you can. The first step is to notice them. The second step is to see how unstable they are. Homework. Find a group of people having a non-work related conversation. See if you can watch the continuous struggle for social status dominance and how often it changes hands. See how many competitions are simultaneously going on. Watch the flux of the continuous and very subtle power struggle. I'm George Hutton. Thank you for listening to the Mind Persuasion Podcast. For more information, please visit mindpersuasion.com/weaponized-hypnosis. I look forward to speaking with you again.